Welcome everybody to today's video. I thought that I would do a video that should be pretty helpful during this season. Many times we're getting sick, family members are getting sick, the flu. This is, a big flu season, usually between October and May. You have these chances of the flu. And so I thought it would be a good topic and video to make, just kind of explaining to you what you can do, should you stop breastfeeding, all those little questions that you might have. And if you have questions that I don't mention today on the video, please leave that in the comment section below and I will try to answer that for you. I also like to mention that I do have an Instagram where I post breastfeeding tips every day. In fact, this breastfeeding tip that I'm going to talk about today, I posted probably a month or so ago, and I thought it would be a good video to make because I feel like many of us are going to get sick, and that's probably the first thing a mom is going to think about, like, is it safe? So check out my Instagram if you want to hear from me every day, if you want to be able to get a tip every day. You can also contact me through Instagram. I'm checking that constantly. YouTube, you can always leave a comment below. I should be able to, get some notification that I received a comment. So let's just get right into the video. So the first question you're going to ask is, should I breastfeed if I'm sick or if I have the flu? And the answer is yes. In fact, it would be better for you to breastfeed while you're sick or if you have the flu rather than not to breastfeed. And the reason for that is when you breastfeed, you are passing antibodies. Those antibodies that your body has built up to fight the flu. And even though you might be sick, your body has still got the antibodies, into fighting, and it's specific for that virus. So what you would want to do is pass those antibodies to your baby. You're less likely to transmit the flu virus. You're more likely to transmit those antibodies because that's what your body has built up. Now, you may decide to express your milk and have someone who isn't sick breastfeed. That is, if you have that option, that's perfectly fine, but you're not going to hurt your baby by breastfeeding while you're sick. You may want to do a lot of lying down breastfeeding just because it's easier for you. You may not have a lot of energy. You also want to stay very hydrated. You want to make sure that you're keeping fluids in you because you don't want to become dehydrated and your milk supply suffer. You also want to be careful of medications. Most medications that you take with the flu are safe for breastfeeding and for milk supply. But you do want to make sure that whatever you're taking is safe and that it's not going to cause a decrease in your milk supply. So that's something very important to think about. Another thing that you can do is, which is a common thing we say all the time, is to wash your hands. Clean anything that you've touched, surfaces. You of course wouldn't want to be kissing the baby and doing a lot of breathing, very close to the baby's face. So a lot of times what I used to do is I would breastfeed and then I would put the baby in their bed or someone else would hold them, but I would make sure that I wasn't breathing on them. And I would as hard as it was, I would not kiss them, getting any type of that virus onto them. Because the only thing I wanted them to get was the antibodies to fight against it. And honestly, I don't know I got the flu, or I should say a stomach virus, but I've had the flu as well, and I never passed it on to my babies. Now, when they do get sick, like if other people in the house get sick and they get sick, your body will, when they're breastfeeding, your body, because of the saliva that the baby produces, your body is going to know what that baby needs and it's going to provide it, which is something that's amazing. But when you are sick, you're just going to do everything you can to eliminate any extra body fluids or, breathing the same air. You're going to some degree. But again, like I said, you wouldn't want to stop breastfeeding, because if you think about it, if you stop breastfeeding, they're getting nothing but the virus, nothing but exposed to the virus. Whereas if you're breastfeeding, they may be exposed to the virus, but now they're getting the antibody from you to fight it. So they're going to be more likely to, if they would get sick, more likely to get well very quickly, much quicker than you did. So those are just a few tips. Let me just take a look real quick. If you do decide to express your milk, and you want to just be pumping and having someone else give the baby the bottle during that time period, just making sure that you do all the cleaning and sterilizing of the parts each time, washing your hands, washing the parts in between every single pumping, making sure that you are breastfeeding enough or pumping enough to keep your supply up. But in order to keep your supply up and for you to feel better and to get better is to keep up on your fluids as well. So you want to make sure that you are drinking enough, getting as much, fluid, getting hydrated basically. You want to get as much fluid as possible, and you want to be hydrated in order for you to be stronger and get better and be able to keep your milk supply better. Keep your milk supply up. So those are the main points that I wanted to really bring out. I think the most important thing is to remember from this video is to think of the fact that if you don't breastfeed, they're more likely to get sick than if you were to breastfeed. And if you breastfeed, you're giving them the fighting antibodies that they need to fight that virus, and which was something you didn't have. You had to get sick in order to build those. So if you can pass that to your baby and help them, giving them like one step greater than what you had when you got sick, and honestly, they're very less likely to get that virus because you are breastfeeding and you're passing that you're passing those antibodies onto your baby. Just as a side note, a lot of times we might feel that we breastfed our baby and they still get sick. And, you hear, well, if the baby is breastfed, they're less likely to get sick. And that is true, that you're passing your antibodies onto your baby. But let's say you've stopped breastfeeding, but you breastfed for a long period of time and your baby still gets sick a lot, and you feel like, so did my breastfeeding really help? What you did was you gave your baby all those antibodies that they needed to build the immune system that they needed. If you find that your baby is getting sick very often, your child who's growing, maybe they're not a baby anymore, maybe they're a toddler, very young, but you're no longer breastfeeding, so say ages 1 to 4 or something, or even a little bit older. If you find that they're getting sick a lot, you want to look at, are there some things that could have compromised their immune system? So having too many taking too many antibiotics can compromise their immune system. Different things that they're exposed to can compromise their immune system. And so you want to, although you may no longer be breastfeeding, you want to continue to boost their immune system. So you want to do what you need to do to keep that milk supply, or not the milk supply, to keep the baby's immune system strong, like when you were breastfeeding. And you can do that through plenty of vitamin C and zinc, and keeping your baby on some type of vitamin. You also want to make sure they're taking a probiotic. So talking with your doctor and finding out some ways that you can boost your child's immune system is really important, because while we're breastfeeding, we can keep our child healthier, and that does build their immune system. But there are things we can do, or things that can happen after we're done breastfeeding, and this could, compromise their immune system. So this is something to keep in mind, that they will always need to boost their immune system. You yourself always need to keep your immune system strong, and the best way to do that is through the vitamins that your body needs and the nutrients that your body needs. So that is basically everything that I wanted to talk with you today. I hope that this answers any questions and just helps you to feel more confident that when you get sick or when your baby gets sick, that you want to continue breastfeeding, just so that the baby has that extra fighting, antibodies. So if you have any more questions for me, please leave that in the comment section below. If there's any specific video you would like me to make, please leave that in the comment section below as well. Someone had mentioned to me once to make more videos on breastfeeding an older child, past 6 months, a year, 2 years. And so if that is something that you would like to see more of, there's a specific topic, please let me know in the comments below. And again, don't forget to check my Instagram, to follow me on Instagram so that you can be getting those daily breastfeeding tips. And that way you have also access to talk, ask me questions on a daily basis if you need to. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and the notification bell. And that way you are notified every time I put out a video. So thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.